DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. We're going to talk about marketing. I want to talk to you about specifically the 3 key marketing strategies that you can use in your business. First of all, let's get a clear definition of what marketing is so that we are all on the same page. Now, if you were to Google marketing, you're going to get a lot of different definitions, but they all have some common denominators. So if you look up different definitions, you might hear something or read something that sounds slightly different from what I'm about to say, but I'm going to simplify it and tell you what the simple definition of marketing is. It is everything you do in the process of selling your stuff. That's the definition of marketing. Okay, that's all it is. So everything you do to move along the process of selling your stuff is defined as marketing. So when you post something on Instagram, at least if it's related to your business, that is marketing. As a matter of fact, even if it isn't related to your business, if you sell something and the person who saw what you posted on Instagram sees the thing that you're selling, then that Instagram post was marketing, whether you wanted it to be or not. Even if it was just some fun stuff, even if it was just some life stuff, something silly, it is still marketing because it is part of the relationship. So everything that you do, we're going to put a list of all the things that you can do that are part of your marketing mix. So anything that you post, is part of your marketing because this is all part of the relationships that you build. So relationship, whatever your relationship is with your audience, that is part of your marketing. Every article, every blog, every status update, every video, every tweet, all of these are part of your marketing. Your appearance. If you walk around with a t-shirt and a snapback hat on, or you walk around with a business suit on, all that is part of your marketing. The way that you show up, the people that you hang with, your associations, the people that you associate with, all of these are part of your marketing. The way that you walk, the way that you talk, any way that you show up is all part of your marketing. Every single thing that you do that builds or moves along the relationship that you have with your audience is marketing. Whether you're doing it on purpose or you do it by accident, it is all marketing, because marketing is simply the relationship you have with your audience, which will lead to either them making some type of decision, about how to move forward with you or how not to move forward with you. So all of these things are part of marketing. Every post, all your relationships, everything that you put out there that people can see, your appearance, your associations, we can just say search. So whether you use DuckDuckGo, Bing, Google, whatever search engines say about you, that is part of your marketing. That's a big part of your marketing, because this is often the first place that people look when they're really trying to vet you and find out what you're about, because they know whatever you say on your site is going to be the positive version, but they want to see what everybody else says about you. So whatever a search engine says about you, that is part of your marketing. So I want to talk about the 3 key marketing strategies that you will use, why each one is what it is, and what are the pros and cons of each one. So first of all, let me write what it is, then we'll talk about the pros, then we'll talk about the challenges, not necessarily cons, but challenges of each one. The first marketing strategy is advertising. What is advertising? Y'all know what advertising is. It is simply you pay money to get eyeballs and attention. Same thing, but we'll just put it there. This is what advertising is. I pay money I go to Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, I'll give you $100 today. I want you to show my post or my advertisement or my video to 2,000 people or 20,000 people or 10,000 people or however many I can show it to till my $100 runs out. Facebook says, sure, give us the money. We'll go ahead and run that ad. That is what advertising is. You pay money to get eyeballs and attention on what you are doing. Here are the pros of advertising. I'm going to use this green. Hopefully y'all can see this. This green seems to be kind of light. As a matter of fact, I won't use the green. I'll use the blue. The green seems to be kind of light on the eyeballs, so no, actually, let me try the green, because it'll contrast with this blue. So a pro of advertising is it is fast. Advertising is the fastest way to get eyeballs on what you are doing. You can be very also specific. And I'm looking in the lens, see if y'all can see that. I don't know if y'all can see that as well as I can see it. So let me just go back to the blue. I'm questionable about this green marker, so let me use the blue. All right, so as I said, number one thing about advertising, it is fast. You can get attention very quickly. You can be very specific when you do advertising, because unlike, let's say if I put a post up on Instagram right now, I don't control who sees it. Instagram can show it to more or fewer people. They'll show it to a certain percentage of the people who are already following me, but I can't control it. If I put a post up on IG and I just want men to see it because it's a post directed at men, I can't stop a woman from noticing it or a woman having it pop up on their feed. But if I run an ad on Facebook or on Instagram, I can tell Instagram or Facebook specifically, show this ad to men. So it doesn't mean a woman won't ever see it, but it's targeted specifically to men, so it will probably come up more towards the people that I want to see it when I do advertising. So basically you can call your own shot when you advertise. That means you can tell the platform that you're advertising on exactly what you want. And you can have as much as you're willing to pay for. When you advertise, you can have as many eyeballs on your stuff as you're willing to pay for. If you want 1 million people to see your video, as long as you spend enough money to get 1 million views, you'll get 1 million views. You don't have to do it organically. As long as you're willing to pay for it, you can get all of these things in advertising. So these are all pros of advertising. It is the fastest way to get eyeballs on anything that you're doing is to advertise. Now, what are some of the challenges with advertising? I'm not even gonna call them cons, but challenges. Is that first of all, cost can go up just as fast as your views go up. The more people see your stuff, the more you have to pay. That's simply how it works, relatively speaking. So you might have an ad that's hitting really well, so you're only paying 1 cent per impression, but you may have another ad that costs $1 per impression. But either way, the more people see it, the more you're paying, relatively speaking. So your costs can go up really fast with advertising. In order to advertise, you must have capital to invest. If you have no advertising budget or you don't have any money to advertise with, then it's kind of hard to get started advertising, because how are you going to pay the advertising bill? You can't. And when you first start out advertising, they're going to want to get paid every time you run an ad. So for example, I've been running ads for long enough that now Facebook basically gives me an ad account where I can spend up to a certain amount, and when it gets to a certain number, then Facebook says, okay, pay us. But then I can spend several $1,000s before I had to pay Facebook. But when you first start out, they didn't do that to me. When I first started out, it was like, all right, every $100 we're going to bill you. Every $200 we're going to bill you. And they would bill me every single time until eventually they saw that I was consistent with it. They knew I would pay. They trusted me. It's basically like building credit. And eventually they will let you kind of float a little bit. But when you first start out, you got to have some capital to invest at the beginning. Next, you have to choose your targets, which you might not know how to do. In other words, if I gave you some money to run an advertisement right now, who do you want to see it? Who do you want to target? Who would you target with that ad? If you don't know, then what's the value of being able to advertise if you don't even know who you're targeting? That's one of the benefits of advertising, is you can choose a specific audience that you want to see it. So for example, when I run advertisements for, let's say for example, one of my books, so one of my book bundles, I target specific people. I'm not just selling it to anybody. I want to show it to the type of people who are more likely to buy a book and more likely to spend more money. So I'm choosing my target. But if you don't have a target to choose, then what are you going to do? Even if you could advertise, you need to know exactly who you are targeting. Another challenge that comes with advertising is that you are always in competition with other advertisers, because if you're trying to sell to a certain marketplace, a certain audience, then someone else is trying to sell to that audience, what you get into is what they call an auction. Google perfected this. The reason Google is $1 billion company is because they perfected the competition for advertising. They call it the auction. If I want to run an ad to Stacy in New York, and you're running an ad to target Stacy in New York, whichever one of us is willing to pay more money for Stacy in New York to see our ad, we're the one who wins, but we pay more money by winning. Now, if you want to beat me, then you pay more money, and we just keep going back and forth like an auction until one of us wins and or one of us runs out of money. That is what happens when you're running ads, is that you're always in price competition. This is not material competition, this is a price competition that's happening, and your costs can go up relatively very fast, not relatively, but very fast when you are advertising. So these are some of the challenges of advertising. This is not an all-inclusive list, but this is some of them. So that's the first one, is advertising. Let's move on to the second way that you can do your marketing, or the second tool of marketing. It's not the second way to do it. You can use all of these as a matter of fact together. You should do a mix of all of them, and I'll explain that later. Advertising is number one. Number two is what we call collaboration. What is collaboration? Collaboration is when you work with others who already have your desired people. That's what collaboration is. People who already have your people in their audience, you work with them. That is a collaboration. So for example, if you have a YouTube channel and I have a YouTube channel, and I reach out to you and say, hey, let's do a video together, and we'll post one video on your channel, we'll post one video on my channel. I'll get some of your fans to come see the video that's on my channel because you're in it, and some of my fans will go see the video on your channel because I'm in it. So we are collaborating. So you're getting some of my audience to come to your world, and vice versa. Some of my audience is going to go over to your world, or some of your audience is going to come over to my world. That's what a collaboration is. So some examples of collaboration would be joint ventures. So this would be like if me and 3 other authors write a book together. You see this happen a lot of times these days. There'll be like 10 people writing a book, or 20 people all writing one book. And each of them is basically getting all of their audience to go buy the book, and then other people get seen by other people in others' audiences simply because they're all doing the book together. So that's one version. Another version is affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is if you are selling a course and you reach out to me and say, hey Dre, I have this great course that I think your audience will love. Anybody that you send to come buy my course from your world, I'll give you 50% of the sale. So I send 3 people to go buy the course. It costs $1,000 a piece. I get $500 for those 3 sales. That's $1,500 that I make. You get the other $1,500. You got 3 new people in your audience. You sold that course, but you didn't have to do any of the work. I did all the work to make the sale happen because I brought the people that otherwise wouldn't have known about your course. And I don't have to do any of the work of delivering the course. You do that, but you're happy delivering because you didn't even have to get these customers. This is an extra $1,500 that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And now you got 3 new people in your audience that otherwise wouldn't have been in your audience. So affiliate marketing that's exactly how affiliate marketing works. Another way is appearances. Appearances is an example of collaboration. So if you have a podcast and I reach out to you and say, hey, I heard you have a podcast on basketball. I used to play basketball. I got some principles and some ideas and some stories about basketball that I think be valuable to your audience. You say, Dre, that's a great idea. Come on my podcast. So boom, now I come on your podcast. Some of your audience hears about me, so I win. Now some of them are gonna come into my world, maybe buy some stuff from me and become my fans. And you needed a guest for your next episode of your show, so you can keep putting out content. So you win as well, and you look cool because look at this cool guy, Dre Baldwin, someone in your audience said, I never heard of Dre Baldwin, but I'm glad that I was listening to your podcast, because otherwise I never would have heard about Dre. So you win, I win, and your audience wins. That is an example of what happens with collaboration. So this is the second fastest way. Advertising is the fastest way to get an audience. Second fastest way to get an audience is through collaboration. Let's talk about some pros, some more benefits and pros of collaboration. These are not actually pros, these are just examples. But some pros of collaboration is often there is no cost. Often. It's not always the case. Sometimes there is a cost. There are some podcasts that I have in the past reached out to, and they reached back and said, hey, Dre, your stuff is cool. We'd like to have you on the show, but just to let you know, we charge $1,500 to be on our show. We charge $50, so we charge $800 to be on the show. And this is really happening. People really do charge money to be on their podcast if they believe their show or their audience is valuable enough. I personally have never paid to be on anybody's show, but I know people that do pay to be on people's podcasts if they believe that the opportunity is worth it and they know that they can create the ROI. That's the thing about any kind of advertising where you pay money. You have to know, how do you create the ROI? And I should actually put that here because this is very important. I shouldn't have missed that. How to generate ROI. You must have an answer to this question if you're going to do advertising. How am I going to make my money back? That's simply what it is. So if I reach out to you, you have a podcast, and you say, Dre, it's $1,000 to be on my podcast. I say, cool. Now my question to me is, how am I going to make my $1,000 back if I pay to be on this guy's podcast? Do I know that he has a strong enough audience and I got a strong enough offer that matches what they want, that they will buy whatever I'm selling and I'll make back my $1,000? If I can't answer that question in the affirmative, I shouldn't invest my $1,000. So usually with collaboration, there is no cost. Another good thing about collaboration is you can build relationships. And when you have relationships, you can also leverage relationships when you are doing collaborations. In other words, you can go meet new people through doing collaborations. And also, if you already know people, you can use those relationships to do more of what you want to be doing. So that's another benefit of collaboration. Another benefit of collaboration is you can be a nobody and still make it work. Even if you're a nobody, you can make it work as a collaboration. As long as you have some value and something to offer, and you can pitch, you can talk about yourself or what you're offering in a way that gets people's attention, you can be a nobody and make something happen with collaboration. You can do the same thing with advertising too, so we can put that there. You can be a nobody. As long as you're willing to spend money, you can be a nobody and make it happen. So you don't have to be known in order to do these things, but being known can actually help. When you're known, collaboration opportunities usually come your way. So I'll put that there. When you are known, you get incoming requests. You get a lot of incoming requests when you are a known person. Everybody wants to collaborate with you when you're known. Like, how many people think about somebody like if you're the president or vice president, how often does somebody want you to come on their TV show or their radio show or do a video? Everybody wants to do it because you're a known person, and people like to be around known people because it draws eyeballs, and everybody's trying to draw attention these days. So these are some of the benefits of collaboration. One of the challenges of collaboration is, pitching. That's what that should say. Let's just say pitching. That means you need the ability to, let me make sure I spelled it right. I just spelled it. The pitching is your ability to sell yourself and whatever it is you're offering to the person that you want to collaborate with. So if you have a podcast and I want to be on your podcast, I have to have the skill of talking about myself and whatever I want to talk about to you in such a way that it compels you to respond back to me and say yes. If I can't do that, then I won't be able to collaborate. So if you don't have good people skills, you cannot collaborate. You must have very strong people/social skills. If you don't have good people skills or good social skills, you will fail at collaboration. This is all about people skills. This is all about relationship building. It's all about your ability to communicate with other people. You must have the ability to collaborate to do this. You also have to have something to offer. If you want to collaborate with me, all right, I know what I can help you with, but what can you help me with? If you don't have anything to offer me that I want or that I believe my audience wants, and by extension that's what I want, then I'm not going to say yes to your collaboration. You must have something to offer to collaborate. And what you offer must be what the person that you're offering wants, not what you think they want, not what you believe they need, what they want. And if they don't agree that they need it or want it, they're going to say no, or they're just not going to respond to you at all. So one of the challenges of collaboration is you must know what the other person wants, and once you figure that out, then it's very easy to collaborate. But until you know what this is, then it can be a challenge to collaborate. Another challenge with collaboration, this can take a lot of time. waiting on a collaboration to happen. You reach out to somebody about being on their show. They might say, reach back to us in 6 months. They might reach back and say, hey, reach us next year. They might say, hey, our calendar is full. They might say yes, but they might say, well, yeah, we can do something, but I got to finish this project first, then the project after that, and then 9 months from now, then we'll be able to work together. Just stay in touch. So don't get into going into the collaboration game thinking it is a get-rich-quick thing that's going to happen overnight. Advertising, this can happen overnight. All right, so I know people always tell you stuff doesn't happen overnight. If you're willing to advertise and spend enough money, you can get things to happen overnight. You want to make money overnight? Advertise. All right, you want to make money a little bit slower? Do collaboration. This is the fastest. This is the second fastest. This can take time. Sometimes it happens immediately. I've reached out to people and been on their show 3 days later. I've reached out to people, been on their show 6 months later. So these are forms of collaboration. Or I've done affiliate marketing deals. I've done appearances. I've done joint ventures. Sometimes they take a long time before the thing actually takes place and then the money gets made. And sometimes it's a very short period of time. And also another thing about collaborations is there is no guaranteed money, always. It depends on how you do it. It's not always guaranteed money. So if you appear on somebody's show and you know you're going to offer the audience your course, there's no guarantee anybody's going to buy it. Now, one way that there is going to be money made is if you do an affiliate deal or a joint venture. That is the whole thing is we're going to sell stuff. Now, no guarantee anybody's going to buy, but we're going to assume since the whole deal is to sell things that can work. But if you go make appearances on TV or you get in a magazine or you get a newspaper or radio interview or you get on somebody's podcast, just because you went on there and talked about your book or your course or your mastermind doesn't mean anybody's going to buy it. So don't think that just because you did a collaboration, all of a sudden money's going to fall out of the sky unless the actual deal is something that is specifically going straight to the money. But if it's indirectly to the money, like an appearance, like any kind of media, like podcasts and stuff like that, the money is not guaranteed. So just keep that in mind anytime you're doing a collaboration. So this is the fastest. This is the second fastest. Let's talk about the third way that you can market out here. And that third way is what we are doing right now. That is content. What is content? Content is free material, free, valuable material used to promote yourself and we'll just say yourself and your brand, your business, your game, whatever it happens to be. That's what content is. So content is, you got a YouTube channel, that's content. You post on Facebook or Instagram, content. You post on any kind of social media, that is content. Anything you put out that's completely free of charge, just to show people how good you are, how smart you are, how pretty you are, or how high you jump, or whatever you want to show off, that is a form of content. So content is all the stuff that you already know about, things like blogs, anything on social, podcasts. This is the one that I probably don't even have to explain that much. Most of you probably know what content is. All you're pretty familiar with how content works. And there are many different forms of content, but anything that's free, you're not charging for it, you're just putting it out to help people out, hopefully, and also help yourself. That is content. Now, what are some benefits of content? It is free to produce. You can put out as much content as you want. It doesn't cost you money to post on Facebook. You don't have to pay to post on YouTube. Now, it might cost you to create whatever you're creating if you have a videographer or you're doing a lot of editing, but to actually publish it, it does not cost anything. So actually, I should say free to publish instead of free to produce would be more accurate. So free to publish. Another thing about content, unlimited capacity. You can post as much as you want. There is no limit to how often you can post on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. At least the last time that I checked, you can post as much as you want. Nobody's going to stop you. Another benefit of content is it is free to start, meaning you don't have to pay anything just to get into the game. You can be unknown. Notice that this is a benefit of all three of these marketing. You can be unknown and use this. You can be a nobody. You can be a nobody. And I would say you can be a nobody, but it's the same thing. You can be unknown and be a nobody, and you can still publish content. You don't have to be a known commodity in order to start publishing content. Anyone can start publishing content at any given time. And this is the good thing. Another great thing about content is it is a great practice ground. This is something that I tell creators and entrepreneurs all the time, that you should be creating content all the time, because content is the place where you can practice your skills. That's where you can find your voice. You can learn what your best approach is. You can learn what people are responding to about you. You can learn what people are really getting from what you're saying. You can try different things out and see what works and what doesn't, and it's not costing you anything. You're not on somebody else's platform where they're expecting something from you. It's not costing you any money. You're doing it completely for free, and you can find out what works. Many of you who want to be out here in the game are not publishing enough content, i.e. you're not practicing enough, i.e. you are not working on your game. That's why you haven't found your voice yet, and you haven't found your ideal audience, because if you don't know your message, then you shouldn't be doing collaboration. And this is something that I should put in this collaboration piece. You need to know your message. Because as soon as you start getting on other people's platforms, they're going to expect you to deliver. There's an expectation that comes with collaboration. High expectation, because you're on another person's platform. If you under-deliver on another person's platform, you will never get on that platform again, and you probably won't get on a bunch of others, because they're going to spread the word about how you sucked. And all those new people who just heard of you for the first time are not going to come into your world. So you better be ready to deliver when you get on somebody else's platform. Good thing about creating content is you don't have to be good. You don't have to be good when you're creating content. You can suck. You can suck and just create content. And you can just keep practicing over and over again until you get good at it when you're creating content. That's one of the benefits of it. Some of the challenges of creating content is you have to find an audience. So even though you can publish as much as you want, if nobody knows who the hell you are and nobody's actually finding your material, then all that content is not actually doing anything for you. So you must find an audience when you're creating content. It can feel lonely and pointless to be creating content if you're creating a bunch of it and nobody is seeing it and you're not really getting the response that you want. So this is the reason why a lot of people don't practice enough, because they feel like they're putting out all this content and they're not really getting any response. But that's not the point. When you first start out with content, you should be putting it out even if nobody's listening, nobody's watching, nobody's following you, so you can find your voice and identify what works and what doesn't. Remembering that you're not trying to sell the whole world, you're trying to sell the people who want to buy from you. But you got to figure out your message before you can even identify what's going to sell and who's going to buy from you. So this is another challenge of content. Other challenge of content is this is the slowest to convert, if at all. Understand that the purpose of content is not necessarily to sell anything. You put out content to make yourself findable, make yourself discoverable, show people that you have value to offer in the marketplace, and your content might never make you money. Often though, a lot of people think that if they put out a ton of content, they're supposed to make money from it, or they're supposed to get some kind of metric that's supposed to come just from creating content. Not necessarily. So sometimes you will be putting out content, and if you are expecting it to convert into something and it's not converting into that, you will feel frustrated. But understand, if you look at it from a different frame, look at content as a practice ground so you can find your voice, then you won't be worried about the fact that it's not quote unquote converting or producing any money for you. So content is, and this is I'm trying to think if there's another challenge about content that I should share here. Yeah, one more is that, or at least if I think of another one, is you are in a big ocean, meaning there's a whole bunch of other people creating content, a whole bunch of people publish something at the same time that you just published something, and you are competing for eyeballs with all of these people who are also out in that space creating that content. And this is one of the reasons why it may be slow to convert. You might feel lonely and you're having trouble finding an audience sometimes, simply because nobody knows you yet and there's all this competition that you're going against. But this is one of the reasons why you use it as a practice ground, because the more you practice here, the better you get at knowing your message, which is here, and the better you know your message, the more you can do collaborations. See, this is how they all work together. The more you practice, you know your message through collaborations. When you do collaborations, you get audiences that become yours. So this is another benefit of collaboration, is you can build your audience. You build your audience off the backs of other people's audiences. So if you have an audience, and I don't, but I know I use content to create as a practice ground, I find my message, I collaborate with you, your audience likes me, now they become part of my audience. So now I build my audience through collaborating with you. Now that I have an audience, now maybe I can start selling stuff. I'm making enough sales. Now I have some revenue. Now I can invest in advertising, and I can get more people on my audience even faster when doing it this way, because you got the speed of doing advertising. So this is why you need to be doing content, even though this is the slowest of all three to produce any type of necessary ROI, and necessarily produce any type of ROI, better way of saying that. So content is the slowest, collaboration is the middle speed, advertising is the fastest. Good thing about advertising is, and I said this earlier, that you probably heard people say there's no such thing as overnight success. Well, that's not true. With advertising, you can be an overnight success. You can start an ad right now, wake up tomorrow morning, and have made thousands of dollars, depending on the type of ads you're running, what you're selling, and who you're selling it to, and depending on what it's costing you. You can become an overnight success running ads. Ads can be literally an overnight success. Collaboration takes a little bit more time. Content takes a little bit more time in that order of speed. Now here's the big thing that you need to understand. You need to be doing all three of these at all times, I would suggest. Once your business matures, at least, you can start doing some advertising, because this is the fastest way to get people into your space. But advertising is a whole different set of skills that you need to know what you're selling, what you're offering, how much you're spending, and how much you're making back, so that you're actually making money on your ad spend. They call it ROAS, which stands for return on ad spend. So you shouldn't be doing any ad spend until you know that you can create a return on your ad spend, or at least you can test out with small amounts. Good thing about the advertising space now is that you don't have to have a lot of money. You can test ads with $10. You can run an Instagram ad for $10 right now and just boost one of your posts and get more followers or something like that very easily. So you can test with very small amounts of money with ads, but that's a different training for a different day. So advertising, once your business is maturing, you should be doing some advertising so that you are getting more people in quickly when they're targeted. You should be always collaborating, because this is the way that you build relationships. You get known, you can get to know more people. You need to know people in order to do collaborations. A lot of you need to work on this right here, your people and social skills. If you have no social skills, it's going to be hard to pitch and do collaborations. You have to have good people skills. The more relationships you have, the better you can collaborate. And as you do more collaborations, you should keep creating content, because that is a way that more people can see, hear, and know about you. More people can know that you exist, know that you are giving value out in the game. And once you run ads and you collaborate, more people are going to come into your audience. That's where they're going to be looking for your content. So you're going to have this content to keep feeding the audience that you already have, as a matter of fact, as well. And I can put that here. This feeds your audience. You see, once people decide that they like you and they buy into you and they're in your world, they want you to continually give them stuff. Keep giving them value. The people who already know who you are, people who have already bought from you, you got to be feeding your audience with content. So that's another reason why you create content, because it keeps your audience satiated until the next thing you put out or the next thing that you're going to sell. So with content, marketing, 3 marketing strategies. Any kind of post, relationship you have with your audience, any kind of article, blog, status update, videos, tweets, your appearance, your associations, what search says about you, all of this is marketing. And there are 3 marketing strategies for traffic, for getting people into your world, for traffic specifically. That means getting people to see you. Advertising is the fastest, collaboration is second fastest, content the next. You need to be doing a mix of all 3 and understand how to use each one of these at all times. All that being said, 2 things for you to do now. First of all, text me so you get my daily motivation text every single day straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894. And go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where I have my masterminds, my group coaching program, Bulletproof Mastermind, one-on-one coaching program, 3rd Day Mastermind. There's a link to set up a call for me. You want to work with me one-on-one. That is all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all